Before you rent a house, ask yourself one question. What if the person who warned you about the house never actually existed? Tonight, I am sharing a real incident, exactly as it was written, about a place known as the Terrifying House. I have come back again with a true incident that happened to someone. I am reading this exactly the way it was written. The incident was titled The Terrifying House. The writer begins by saying that there are some horrifying events in life that can terrify any human being. I heard one such terrifying incident from a distant relative of mine, an uncle who had been living in America. After returning to the country, he came to visit our house. During a family gathering, he brought up this incident. When everyone insisted on hearing it, my uncle began to tell the story. Let us go into the incident. According to my uncle, this happened about 15 years ago. At that time, I had just moved to America. I was working as a waiter in a restaurant. The house where I was living initially, one day, the owner suddenly informed us that he was going to demolish it. So, along with two of my companions who were living with me, we started looking for another place to live. Eventually, we found an old 2-story house in a very isolated area of Boston City. The house was old, but it looked decent, and since the rent was comparatively low, all 3 of us agreed to take it. We paid a full month's rent in advance and moved in. The house was a duplex, but we were only allowed to stay on the lower floor. On the day the house was handed over to us, the caretaker warned us before leaving. He said that sometimes strange sounds might be heard, and no matter what, we should never pay attention to those sounds or try to find their source. His words made us uneasy. Our suspicion grew when we noticed that the staircase leading to the second floor had been blocked with wooden barricades so that no one could go upstairs. We asked the caretaker if there was any problem with the house. He hesitated and replied, "If there were any problems, would I rent this house to you?" Then I asked why the staircase was blocked and what kind of sounds he was talking about. The caretaker said that there were some valuable items upstairs, so no one was allowed to go there, and that sounds could occur naturally in old houses. He told us not to pay attention to them. Saying this, he hurriedly left. Despite our doubts, we started living in the house. The first day passed peacefully. The incident began on the second night, at around 3 in the morning. I woke up to a horrifying scream. My body trembled as I woke up suddenly. I tried to understand what kind of sound it was. Soon I realized it was the scream of a woman crying out in extreme pain. I was about to step out of the room to find the source of the sound, but then I remembered the caretaker's warning, not to pay attention to any sounds. After thinking for a long time, I decided to investigate in the morning instead. The next morning, despite searching a lot, I couldn't find any explanation. On the third night, the same sound occurred again. This time, after the female scream, I also heard a male voice shouting, "Help! Help!" I was terrified. I wrapped myself in my blanket and stayed silent. The next morning, we noticed that one of our companions was missing. After searching everywhere, we saw that the wooden barricade blocking the staircase to the upper floor had been completely broken. Along with my other companion, I rushed upstairs. On the floor, we saw trails of blood smeared from one room to another. Following the blood stains, we entered a room, and what we saw, we were not prepared for. The companion who had gone missing was lying on the floor, covered in blood. We immediately brought him downstairs and called the police and an ambulance. His condition was critical, and he was admitted to the ICU. The police began questioning us. I explained everything in detail. Then the police officer said, "The house you moved into is actually an abandoned house. Many terrifying incidents are associated with this place." I told them that a caretaker had rented the house to us. The officer looked at me and said, "What caretaker?" "There is no caretaker for this house. The owner of this house died 7 years ago. The person who took rent from you was probably a fraud who scammed you and ran away." Hearing this, it felt as if the sky collapsed over my head. The police sealed the house and instructed us not to leave the city until our companion recovered. After about 1.5 months, he regained consciousness. The police then came to hear the full incident from him. He told us what happened that night, He said that he also heard the screams and went out to find the source. He realized the sound was coming from the upper floor. As he approached the staircase, someone groaned and said, "Please come up and give me some water." As he moved closer, some unknown force worked inside him, and he broke the wooden barricade blocking the stairs. As he went further up, he heard groaning coming from a room. When he reached the room, a horrifying stench filled the air. Moving forward, he saw a dying woman. Her entire body was decaying, flesh rotting and falling apart. She looked at him and asked for water. Terrified, he turned around and ran. At that moment, the woman suddenly appeared right in front of him. He collided with her and fell to the ground. He somehow got up and tried to escape again, but this time the terrifying woman grabbed him completely. They struggled violently. The figure lifted him into the air and slammed him against the walls repeatedly. His body was severely injured, and eventually, covered in blood, he lost consciousness. Later, we found out that about a year earlier, a married couple had lived in that house. The husband abandoned his wife, married another woman, and moved to another city. The wife became seriously ill and, due to neglect and starvation, slowly died alone in that house. Her decomposed body was later recovered from there. Since then, strange and abnormal incidents have occurred in the house. Anyone who tries to live there ends up leaving in a terrible condition. It is said that at least 2 people have died in that house so far. So, this was the incident. After a long time, I read a truly chilling incident. While reading it, I shivered several times myself. I don't know what condition that house is in now, or how the people living there might be. Surely, no one dares to disturb that house anymore. Now imagine this. You live in a house where someone warns you every day. Later, you discover that person never existed. You see a caretaker, you talk to him, he gives you warnings. And one day, you are told there was never anyone like him. How would that feel? I am not a storyteller. But as a listener, I believe that the fear you feel hearing this story is nothing compared to the terror faced by those who lived it.